United Nations elects Iran to Commission on Women's Rights this week, and how the hell did this happen? On April 20th, the United Nations elected Iran to a 4-year term on its Committee on the Status of Women. The UN Watch is calling on U.S. Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield and its EU states, and the EU states to condemn the UN's decision. Though the ballot was secret, UN Watch has determined that at least 4 of the 15 EU and Western group democracies on the ECOSOC voted in favor of Iran. UN Watch asked lawmakers to demand that their governments reveal how they voted. Iranian women's rights activist Masih Alinejad stated via Twitter that electing Iran to advocate for women's rights is, quote, surreal. She went on to elaborate on the fact that Iran is a country that treats women as second-class citizens. According to the UN, Iran will play an instrumental role in promoting women's rights and documenting the reality of women's lives throughout the world. The UN's decision to elect Iran sparked outrage among human rights activists. Hillel Noor, executive director of UN Watch, compared electing Iran for advocating women's rights with making an arsonist into the town fire chief.
Is there any... Let's try to be... I know it's hard, okay? Let's try to do a steelman or devil's advocate or whatever you want to call it. Have they given us any reason for why they have done this? Like, is there any argument in their favor? I know it's a dumb question, but let's just ask it anyways. Have they provided, Susanna?
I can't think of any good reasons.
All right, let me try. Okay. Maybe it's kind of like an encouragement that you don't deserve this, but maybe if you highlight you get your act together. How about that? Like, I'm really trying to be charitable here, okay? I know they don't deserve this level of charitability. I'm just trying to come up with the best excuse possible. Maybe like, you guys suck at this, at women's rights, but maybe if we put you in the front seat and everyone is looking at you, then maybe that's gonna... I'm not saying it's gonna work. I'm just trying to come up with the least dumb explanation possible. Is that an excuse?
That's kind of what I was thinking. Like, almost a participation trophy.
Hey guys, if you're a fan of blasphemy and sexy Kali, like me, then that means that you probably want more blasphemous art. Well, I have good news for you. If you subscribe to our newsletter, link in the description below, then you get a free booklet of some of the tastiest blasphemous art available today. So, if you want some of this delicious blasphemy, and we're so generous that we update it for you guys weekly for free, all you have to do is sign up for our newsletter below. You can also go to blasphemousart.com/ebook. That's blasphemousart.com/ebook. Sign up with your email, and you get free gifts of this tasty blasphemy. What could be better? So make sure you sign up. Link below.
Goddess Katie is saying, this is the UN's version of, quote, he will become responsible once he gets married and becomes a father. Katie, that's a very good way of putting it. Yeah, Rivka?
Let me unmute her.
Okay. I don't know if we talked about this or not because my internet, but did you discuss the countries that actually voted for Iran? One of them was the United States.
Armin, you're muted.
Wasn't it anonymous?
UN Watch has determined that at least 4 of the 15 EU and Western group democracies, which include, okay, sorry, I take
No.
it back.
Yeah, it's
4
anonymous.
out of those 15, okay?
Yeah.
But UN Watch is calling on lawmakers to demand their governments reveal how they voted.
Yeah, this is the big part of the news is like people are like, okay, who voted for this? And the problem is that you can't hold any of these countries responsible because we just know how many people vote, how many countries voted to accept this, but we don't know which countries, right? So it's really hard to go and say like, oh, United States, oh, UK, like, why did you do this? Because the vote was anonymous. And UN Watch is like, you guys have to, which countries were special enough to come to vote for this? We need to know, like, we really need to know who voted for this. So UN Watch is demanding transparency here.
Apparently, when they had the secret ballot in 2000, they're all secret ballot, but 2017, and the UN Women's Rights Commission and Saudi Arabia, the Belgians admitted that they voted for Saudi Arabia, and apparently some of this happened. They found it out because the Belgians revealed it to the Saudis, like, "Hey guys, we voted for you."
This is back when so that was a separate vote because Rivka, some people might just let me finish. Some people might not know what you're referring to. UN like does ridiculous things like this. They have a history of this because they also a couple of years ago put Saudi Arabia at the head of the Human Rights Council, right, in the UN. So Saudi Arabia for the head of human rights and Iran for women's rights. Amazing. But maybe the United Nations is like trolling the world, or like, hey, you guys thought that was ridiculous. Yeah, hold my beer. We could top that up.
Well, the Saudis were put on this same committee in 2017, this UN Women's Rights Commission, and the UN Watch are the people who campaign led to Belgium admitting this. So it's not just that they were on the human rights in general, but they were on specifically women. And so maybe the UN Watch will be able to get some to reveal it because they got the Belgians too.
Susanna?
So it's really interesting though. So although we don't know who has voted in favor of Iran being elected to this committee, the UN Watch has come out very strongly against the US and the Biden administration, putting out some tweets like, quote, highlighting a news article. So it's highlighting this news article and says, how the United States in 2010 blocked the Iranian regime from gaining a seat on the UN Women's Rights Body and how they failed to do so in 2021. Worse, the U.S. now won't even make a simple and direct condemnation of Iran's election to the U.S. Commission on the Status of Women. And then the executive director continues. Secretary Antony Blinken, I'm shocked at the U.S. change in position. In 2010, the U.S. mobilized to find a candidate that defeated Iran at UN Women. In 2014, the U.S. condemned Iran's whim at the United Nations Commission on the Status of Women as an outrage. Now you didn't even try to defeat Iran, and astonishingly, you refused to condemn its win. In a statement below to Voice of America and at the press briefing, the Biden administration pointedly refused to give a simple and direct condemnation of Iran's election to this commission. Instead, it's embarrassingly vague and indirect.
Yeah, I don't think that's fair. Well, do we know if United States voted? Just a yes or no before I continue. I just need a yes or no. Do we know if United States voted for this?
I don't know.
We don't know. Okay. Right now, United States is in the middle of negotiations with Iran when it comes to the going back to the nuclear deal. And I don't know how it's going to turn out, but as of right now, United States is pressuring to make human rights a major part of the negotiation. I don't know if they're going to get that. I don't know if that's going to end up being part of the final deal or not. But I don't think it's fair to, like, the current Biden administration is really making human rights a major part of the deal, trying to at least make human rights a major part of the deal in the negotiations that are having. And right now, the human rights is actually one of the major stumbling blocks for why the deal is not going through, right? Like, eventually it will go through, and we don't know who's going to win. I hope they don't soften on that. They might, and if they do, we're going to come here and like criticize them for that. But as of right now, because those deals are happening, you don't want to basically, if you're pressuring them over there and you're also going to pressure them over here, the effect that it might have on those deals, we don't know what's happening in the background. So I don't know if it's fair with the amount of knowledge that we have right now to criticize the Biden administration. We might be able to criticize them more strongly in a couple of weeks from now. So I don't know if it's fair to, and also we don't know how the United States voted because it was anonymous. Rivka, you want to say something?
Apparently, the United States forced the vote, though, but they won't condemn the win, so to speak, by Iran. But the thing that is also very distressing to me is that there were 54 nation economic and social council which voted by this secret ballot, and Iran won 43 out of the 54 votes. That's huge. That's way more than just squeaking by. That's almost unanimous.
Yeah, I don't understand though, because guys, I know people want to pretend that the people in the UN are idiots. Because you are idiots, because you just want to go with this, because you want to just go with the simple explanation and make yourself feel like you understand how world politics works. I do want to understand why, like, this is such a slap in the face to all the women rights activists in Iran, and also the Iranian women's rights activists outside of Iran. Like, this is the opposite of what they want. They want more pressure. They don't want rewarding the Islamic Republic. They want to, they want penalties. They want the Islamic Republic to feel pressure for their women's rights. So, but it cannot be, and it's a bad decision, but there must be something. Like, it cannot be based on nothing. Like, what was their motivation? Like, and even if we want to be charitable and say, like, maybe they're doing this just to motivate them because they're putting them at a position where everybody's going to notice them and put more pressure on them. And again, this is a dumb excuse, but it's the most charitable one, I guess. Even in that situation, like, is UN trying to lose credibility? How do they not have experience with how the world reacted when they put Saudi Arabia at the head of human rights? Like, do they not care about their credibility? Like, even if their goals are like, they did calculations and they're like, you know what, we don't care what the people say, based on our analysis, this is the right way to move forward. Like, is your credibility and your image and how this decision is going to be perceived by the world, is that not part of your calculation? Does that not matter at all? Like, does the UN's budget and how much each country contributes to them not get affected by the way that the citizens of the contributing countries see the United Nations? Like, have they looked at the previous years and were like, oh yeah, people hate us, but apparently that doesn't change how much each government is contributing to us. So maybe that's why they don't care about their image. I don't understand, but it can't be more. It can't be, oh, they're just dumb. Like, this is such a simplistic explanation. Oh yeah, they're idiots. Like, no, you're an idiot if you think that's the only explanation, right? Like, because people like simple answers. Rivka.
So part of the issue is a lot of times when they have these votes, people run unopposed. So Iran, ran unopposed. This has happened before. There's no one to vote for instead. And I know that the United States brought that up. And then also, you know, if you look at some of the questions that UN Watch asked, I mean, they kept asking over and over again, did you vote? Are you against them being on it? And finally, Mr. Price, who was the United States spokesperson on this, said, with response to what you were saying, like, they think that the member should reflect the values underlying the commission, which would be the Human Rights Commission. So he's saying there that he believes the member should reflect those values, but that wasn't until after, you know, being asked over and over and over again. But he is saying what you said, Armin, that it should reflect that.
Okay,
But
Susanna?
they were still condemned very strongly because they didn't even mention Iran by name. And one of the reasons why the UN Watch is criticizing the US so heavily is because, yes, it does heavily depend on who runs and, you know, whose seat is contested, but that it's not reflective of their actions in 2010, where it was a similar situation, and they recruited candidates to oppose this appointment, and they were successful in that effort, and they got East Timor to step up and be elected instead, or stepped forward to contest that election, because they do it regionally, so it has to be within a region, and so they have to recruit candidates within that region. And so to people like those who do work at the UN Watch, in their opinion, the US did zero in comparison to the many efforts, like weeks of efforts that they made to make sure that this didn't happen in 2010.
Exactly. All they did was force the vote, but it's uncontested. And they also are definitely kind of, I don't know if obfuscating is the right word because we don't know if they're lying, but they're definitely dancing around the question directed at them from UN Watch. Like, so do you agree or do you not agree with them being on here? Did you vote for them or did you not? And they really won't say much on that.
Hey guys, YouTube has fully demonetized our channel for supposedly hateful and harmful conduct, without telling us what we did wrong. If we get to 1,000 patrons, we will be able to keep paying all our team, our editors, our artists, without ever having to worry about monetization again, which would be amazing. Yay! So please support Atheist Republic on Patreon. Link in the description below.